Welcome to our show today. I'm really glad to see everybody. I hope you guys are doing all right. I hope things are working for you guys. Kind of making everything work today. I'm really glad to hear you guys. See how things are working for you. Let's see here. Something that's going on, guys. Today's show we're going to be talking about. So this is news. Sometimes that's a really good thing. Other times it's really not a good thing. As we're kind of sharing this out, guys, I do appreciate as you guys share this out, whether you're watching this on our Facebook page or whatever the case is. It is kind of what it is. But I'm really happy to see you guys here today. Let's go down. Let's kind of hit right into it. Some of the things I think that are going to kind of be fun. At least I hope it's fun today. Let's talk about some of the news stuff. All right. I just cannot believe in many ways all the different things we have going on with the news. Okay. But that doesn't go without saying. If you're watching us somewhere else, you actually just want to watch us on like one page, you can always go over to jonathantripp.live, be able to catch me there. And that always has my latest broadcast up. So wherever, even if you're on Facebook or YouTube, or if you're on any of the other platforms or whatever, you can always go back to Jonathan Tripp Live and catch us there. Also, I want to encourage you, if you haven't already, you can join our Facebook group. That's actually a super easy way to be able to stay in the community and stay involved with us. The easy way to get there is group.jonathantripp.com. That'll get you over to our Facebook group and just apply. And I'll let you in, you're right? So, but I wanted to encourage you guys, and if you're into Google Plus, just go over it. You can search for Google Plus or just search for Jonathan Tripp Live, and that short link will come up and you guys will be able to find us there. So having said that, guys, welcome to our show. So this is news. All right. We've got a whole bunch of stuff going on in live stream world. VidCon is going on right now, and there's a whole bunch of names and all this stuff is going on. We saw some news come out yesterday about Facebook and live streaming. And it included the option of having a guest on. Is this a Fire Talk killer? Is this a Huzzah killer? Is this a every other platform killer? So Facebook allows you now. I don't think this is being released to some creators now. It's not released to everybody, so don't worry if you haven't had it yet. But if going forward, if you do have it, then that's awesome. But I don't think vast majority of us don't have it. Yes. So it is for verified pages first, and probably some select celebrities and things like that. But that's how they rolled out Facebook Live to begin with. So why not do the same thing here? It will have the ability, or as the reports say, that it's going to have the ability of having a second person on your feed live with the native within Facebook. So you don't need encoder software and all this stuff, right? Then the other part is they are going to have a green room or a waiting room, I think is the actual word that they call it. I just call it the green room. But then again, I kind of live in a green room. So, but then that's really interesting in that this way you can bring guests through and they're already waiting. So you've already done the sound check, the video check. They're already working. So like I said, is this the other platform killer that Facebook is really just looking to take over? I think that's interesting. How many of you guys are actually using Facebook Live right now? How many of you guys, whether it's like occasionally or you're pretty consistent on the platform, how many of you guys are actually using that platform? I think it's a great platform. And if you're watching us on Facebook Live, great. I think it's super. Okay? Planning on using it. YouTube Live exclusively. But these new updates, okay. So you're into YouTube. That's fantastic. Here's the reason why. YouTube is also coming out with their own. And I'm trying to pull up my notes for YouTube because this was just announced. Okay, this was just announced. This is not out of the ordinary. And probably one of the things I probably should do. Let's if you're watching us on Blab, this is great. Let me drop the link into Blab right now. I apologize for those of you guys that are watching us. But YouTube, this is one of those really kind of cool things, okay? YouTube does this. It's going to be through the mobile app. And that's going to be one of the difference. We all know that YouTube Live, they already have it, and if you guys are watching us YouTube Live, that's great. But what we're seeing now is that the app will now allow you to be able to YouTube Live, and I have a feeling this is going to get some boost. It's going to get some love, and it's going to make this a lot easier to broadcast via YouTube. And again, we're looking for that first-person Periscope style, Meerkat styled YouTube experience. We have the comments come up on the screen. It's a very much of a mimic. And from what I understand, yes, to answer your question, Donnie, from what I understand, it's going to be both. It's going to be both platforms. So that is a super smart move that they're going to release all of these all these features onto both platforms, not just iOS users, which is typically how we feel it, and then half of the population in the world, or at least the mobile users, feel left out. You could continue to do what Snapchat has been doing, which is just keep it exclusively iOS, and the rest of us with Android have a broken app, basically. Okay, so now speaking of Snapchat, I see what Facebook is doing as another way of going after Snapchat, because along with the Facebook, they will also have some of the there's a company called Masquerade, I believe that was bought up by Facebook a little bit ago, and again, it's the same concept, same thing as the face filters on Snapchat. So I really do see that since Facebook couldn't buy up Snapchat, they said no, basically, they're going to go, look, if you don't want to come live with us, then we'll just take over your house. And so that I see that Facebook is really going to be concentrating on taking on Twitter and Periscope, and also trying to go after a lot of the Snapchat crowd. I think the Snapchat crowd is going to be really push against. They're going to be very like, nope, just let us be. We love our platform. But I think the overall masses, I think they're going to stick with Facebook. And if this keeps going with the features that Facebook is going to offer, I think that YouTube and Google actually really need to worry. They need to watch out. I think that's the basic part of that. I'd love to actually hear some of your comments. I'm trying to catch up with what you guys think. What you guys actually think of this too. How many of you guys would prefer YouTube over Facebook? I would really like to hear that. And I'm trying to also watch. Thank you guys for everybody that's watching us on Facebook Live today. I appreciate that. That's really kind of awesome. I'm really excited about that. So let me also, I'll pin that over, just kind of pinging back and forth for that. But how many of you guys do you prefer Facebook or YouTube? And I know some of you guys are actually watching this on Facebook. You're not joining us live because we actually broadcast this show from Huzzah. And you can find me over there at huzzah.io / and then my full name, Jonathan Tripp, just like it's spelled in the lower third. But a bunch of you guys know, I mean, I prefer, if you gave me a choice between the two for longevity's sake, I think YouTube's the way to go. Right now, they're offering way more, archiving, shareability. I can put that on my website very easily. But watch out. Again, Facebook kind of heard and saw all these things, and now they're making it a lot easier to embed embed your live video on a page. Okay, they're making it, and this is the next thing. So we've talked about Facebook bringing out, and a lot of this stuff they've just brought out. They just talked because I think they had a board meeting earlier this week, where they're talking about what bringing internet to the world. I think what Facebook is like 1.65 billion people. And Zuckerberg just looks at the world and goes, well, there's like 5 billion in the world or 6 billion in the world. He says, well, that's a big component of the world that doesn't have internet. Let's get them connected. And that being the real mission of Facebook, now you're going to see why Facebook is using video to connect. They're also improving their messaging service to compete with things like WhatsApp, and make their messenger the number one thing. And so we just keep seeing a lot of these Facebook tie-ins because they're so big, they're having to compete on multiple fronts. So Facebook, the live video is getting changed. Their messenger is now coming out. And they're actually going to be doing some changes in the messenger in the coming bit. With favored messages and stuff. They're actually going to help filter your messages, so not necessarily all your messages are going to come through. How scary is that? First it was your news feed, now it's your messenger, which, by the way, you can't watch. You have to use the messenger when you're on your. You have to use the app when you're on your mobile. You can't be using login straight through through a browser. Well, that's the way that is. So Facebook, is using the Messenger app. They're using the Live. They're using the face. They're using the face filters. Now, the other thing that they're changing, and I'm not quite sure exactly where in the long run they want to go with this, but they're actually also changing their search capabilities. Okay, because previously when we had things like hashtags, yes, they used it. I think they launched out using hashtags in 03. And not 03, 2013, what we saw is that it was the use of it, but not really a lot of people were using it or knew how to use it. And so now I think that now that they have all this out, all these different ways that they can reach the world and such, now they're going to start using search. And I really can't wait to see in the next 90 days to 6 months how they're going to be changing their search functions to make this more relevant and a real big, and I really mean this, a real big competition for Google, because they're making Facebook a place where you can stay. You don't need to leave Facebook in order to find all the things that you need. Now, how much of a good business strategy is that if you can keep your viewers on the platform? Because then I would say then you can throw more advertisement their way. Smart business move, and that's what they're doing. So at $5 billion a quarter, or last quarter at least, that's a smart move for Facebook. Twitter. Let's just kind of switch gears over to Twitter, huh? What about Twitter? They've changed a little bit of the way that they're allowing users to be able to use the platform. They've extended, or rather excluded, some of the links and some of the retweets, and they're making more of that 140 characters count for you. And if you didn't know that, go out and test it today. Send me a tweet. You can send me a tweet, and it's super easy. Just my name @JonathanTripp. Just send me a tweet today and let me know. It's like, hey, this is how big. And I tell you what, if you do that today, I'll give you a follow today. I'll follow you back and kind of put you in my list. So, but I like this. I'm so glad that Twitter's actually doing this, that they're making it so that we can use more of. I know it's a limited space, but I like those limitations. It makes me be a little bit more creative with my wording, with my text. And so that's kind of a cool thing. I would really encourage people to start using Twitter, but not just like in a spam way, not just in curate your followers, make some lists and things like this. But what's happening within Twitter, we talk about live. We're talking about all these things that are we're integrating all these platforms. And so one of the things I would really actually like. One of the things I would really like to see is more people using Twitter, but with their live stream goes directly from the app. Don't necessarily now, and they're doing that. They're integrating it so that right from the app, you're able to broadcast live, and you start the tweet and you add a picture, and it's one of the options in there. It's actually you'll see a picture, a movie. You can take a picture, and then you can actually live stream directly in that. And I think that is super smart. Now, again, Twitter's getting to the point where you don't need another app. You can just do it right from there. And I see that coming down. So those are some of the features now, right? And guys, when you sell something, right, you don't talk about features, you talk about benefits, okay? So here, how was Periscope in the news this past week? So this is news. We had a bunch of senators in the U.S. sitting on the floor, periscoping. And it was huge because C-SPAN got turned off, and that's just the way that works. This is not a political statement. This is more of like, oh, how is live streaming, how are we able to use this? This was huge for Periscope. This put Periscope, I think it pumped some blood back into them, made them a little bit more relevant. Because I'll be honest, if I could do a broadcast and get a lot of eyeballs on it, I would actually use Periscope again. Because if it becomes relevant content, meaningful content, then it's something worth watching. But I think that in the U.S., and again, this is just U.S. politics are using it. But I love the way that they used it, and it was very interesting that they didn't broadcast natively from Facebook. They used Twitter. That was very interesting. How many of you guys were able to watch that or read a story or kind of caught maybe like a news clip about that? And do you think, what are the impressions or what are the implications that you guys see for the use of Periscope versus any of the other 18,000 little live stream apps? Because remember, they're broadcasting from their phones because they're doing a sit-in. What do you guys see as the power of that type of a live stream? I'd be really interested in. And I'm trying to, by the way, I'm also trying to check over to see if you guys are able to watch this on any of the other platforms. So I'm just kind of going over, I'm checking, making sure everything else, you guys are all streaming in the right places. You guys can see it, hopefully. And so that's the case. So what do you guys think? Is that something, is that useful? Do you see that you could use Twitter to that capacity? Obviously not tweeting from the floor of the U.S. Senate. That's not what I'm talking about. But do you think that that kind of brings Twitter back into the light of being relevant? Or do you think the way people are using it now makes it, it's just more noise, or you just completely turned off because it's politics and you don't really care either way? And I'm trying to read you guys' comments here live as we're broadcasting here in Huzzah. And by the way, you guys are able to do that. Join us if you want to. You can also join us over at Jonathan Tripp Live. You actually get more of the raw feed, but you also get the chat. So you guys are welcome to join us there. It's again, if you want a different experience than watching on Facebook or YouTube, that's another way to do it. So anyway, okay, so I like that. Twitter is being used. Terry says Twitter is used for breaking news, not Facebook. Do you think that's going to change with Facebook? I think Facebook has a potentially greater reach, but it feels a lot more controlled. Twitter, I feels like I just put it out there and you may or may not actually see it. It's yesterday's live. Oh, okay, Allison, thank you for letting me know. Okay, so I got to work with Huzzah. I got to call up Nick and Justin and say help. That's all right. I'd like to be able to access Periscope via my laptop and Twitter. You want to access? Well, you can watch the Periscope. They've made Periscope, viewable on your laptop. You just can't interact with it, and so they've made it more like a TV. And I think if more people took that as more of like a broadcast, not just sitting there looking down at their cameras, or you're catching like half of their face, I think that would actually make Periscope more relevant, other than just like just a place to chill, hang out with your friends, or there's multiple Periscope broadcasters that do really amazing things, and it's super fun, and I really like it. Allison, Blab is a place, yeah, you can hang out when you can get on, if you can get on. It's killing. A lot of people are having problems with watching it via mobile. And so I think that takes away from a lot of the usability, and I think that's one of the reasons why Periscope is good the way that it is. It's very interactive. YouTube Live, going from the mobile side, so you're experiencing it and broadcasting it from a mobile, it gives you a better connection, and that I think is the ultimate test. Is what is the audience engagement? I would really love to be able to see what the audience engagement is for a lot of these newer platforms, because if you can't engage with them, what's going to end up becoming the point if you cannot get and engage with them? So all that to say, guys, I think there's a lot to be said for using live stream in some really cool ways. And again, this is not just all about live stream, because here's the dynamics of it are live stream is now. Live stream it's right now, and they've done studies saying things like people are 3 times more likely to watch a live stream and to stay watching than a pre-recorded video. And it could be the show that was recorded and uploaded, and they're just not catching it live. But viewers are 3 times more likely, and I trust these numbers because these agencies and these platforms, they want to know how are people consuming right now, and how do they want to consume. What are some ways that they can improve their platform? And I think Facebook really caught on and was making sure those features are stable as they roll out these multiple broadcasters and a waiting room. It's super huge. How many of you guys saw, and this kind of caught my attention, this celebrity, Demi, went 24 whole hours without social media. I want to let that sink in. This celebrity made a whole point of saying that she went 24 hours without social media. I don't even know. What do you say to that? Why is that important? I think it's hilarious. I think that because that actually became news. Her whole world revolved around social media. Okay. And Allison says because at her age, probably the first time ever, it's like one climbing the Mount Everest, right? And Carrie, you actually bring up it is almost sad, but I want to point out something, a real distinction, okay? This is a distinction I want, and the majority of us that are actually probably watching the show live, we're digital immigrants, and I want you to understand when I say that, okay? That means there was a point in time in my life where internet was not there. There was a point in time where mobile computing was not there, okay? That is not the case for the upcoming generation. They've always had internet, and it's been fast internet. They've always been able to walk around with their phones, and they grew up with it. It wasn't something that was added to their life, so they can think of before and after, okay? They don't have that experience. So for them, it's kind of like, it's not like when the car was invented that you had the people that always used horses and walked everywhere, and now they are getting used to the cars. That's how we are with digital. That's how the older generation is. The younger generation, why would you use a horse? They've always known there to be a car available. That's the way we need to start thinking about it. Okay, and understand that there is a generation that is here now, and they're present. They're not almost to be. They are here, and they're using those are the digitally native generation, and they use internet differently. They think about it differently than we do. For me, if I turned it all off, my life would go on. For them, they turn it off. Well, now what? Because they experience their entire lives, or the majority of their lives, through some kind of a social media interaction. That's why platforms such as it was Twitter for a little bit, Facebook with all the messaging, that's gone now. Snapchat is actually a really big one. However, Snapchat is no longer the new guy on the block. Musical.ly. How many of you guys have heard of Musical.ly? If you have, let me know in the chat. I'd love to hear what you think about that. Is Musical.ly have you ever? How many of you guys have downloaded it? How many of you guys have actually used it and seen somebody? This is an app. Okay, Jonathan. So your daughter is obsessed with it, right? That's my point. Never heard of it. Allison, look it up. It's music, but it's like .ly. I'm not going to type it in. I'll totally get it. Snapchat me for Rhonda, you were not amused because you're used to using it, right? But I think you kind of get the point right away. Is that there's a lot of these where we, even as we see Snapchat being very younger, and it's not like people are just not using Snapchat anymore. It's younger, they're continue to use it, but they're always looking for something else. And Musical.ly, if you guys don't know, it is an app, and I think it's iOS only. You download and you can lip sync and cut and kind of make your own little very short music video to licensed music clips, and I think that's up to like 15 seconds. People are going nuts. I mean, this to me is the definition of internet famous. Like, we've had it before. Using Musical.ly is the definition of internet. Maybe now it's app famous. Maybe that's what it is. Are you, Chef says, are you going to address the LinkedIn platform being hacked shortly after Microsoft bought it? Coincidence? I think not. No, I don't. I think, you don't like hack something overnight, Chef. You don't. That's something they've had in. I think they've been working on it, and they probably finally cracked it, and they were able to. I don't think it's a coincidence, though. I think many people really hate these bigger platforms, those particularly with those abilities. Outside of it just being illegal, it's really just generally it's data mining. and just using that, if not just malicious. I mean, I think there's just a lot to it. I think we're going to see some really big changes happening for LinkedIn, and I hope it's positive. I think LinkedIn being bought by Microsoft is a bigger win for Microsoft than it is for LinkedIn. I think Microsoft bought it for both the content and the data the user data. But I do see some changes coming to LinkedIn, more integration with Microsoft and a lot of the business software, business suites, but I'm not sure that Microsoft has the right business idea, because they're still going on the same idea that it's a fully integrated suite of everything, all your business needs in one place. That's to me, it's very 1990s, 2000s. I'm not really sure how they're going to do it unless they get really, really, really good and it becomes so that you can just use anything all the time and there is absolutely no barriers, which has always been the problem with using suites, that there's always a communication barrier between the different things. And they can blame hackers for all the shortcomings of LinkedIn platform. Excellent. Now you got it. So other news. So you guys kind of, those are some of the things. I'll just kind of go down some of the ones that caught my eye, like the 140 seconds with Twitter, 24 hours without social media. That's a blower, right? Instagram, 500 million users for this ridiculously simple-minded, simple idea app that had, I think when they were bought for whatever, how many hundreds of millions of dollars, had like 13 employees. They did something right and they got bought, and they've been going, I think it's only 5 years old, and they have 500 million users, and I think it's like 100 million daily users or something like this. I forget the exact statistic for that. But guys, this is significant. To me, it shows one thing, that Instagram is still growing. It's still a relevant platform. A lot of people don't feel that way, or they feel it's because it's not trendy. It's not Musical.ly. It's certainly not Snapchat. And all this like this, right? It's the whole point. Really is that I think Instagram kind of got overlooked. I think it's I think it's 2 spots over LinkedIn as far as how relevant it is to people. To users, it's beating out Pinterest and then LinkedIn for some of the lesser known, nobody cares, and really at the bottom of the barrel is Google Plus, and that's for all my Google Plus haters. By the way, if you'd like to, you could always be a part of our Google Plus community that we just started. Just go over to Google Plus and search for Jonathan Tripp Live. You're welcome. But in all seriousness, though, I do kind of joke. But in all seriousness, though, I do think that there is a lot to be said for Instagram. I love what they're doing. They've lengthened the amount of time that you can upload videos to and such like that. So I'm very interested to see how that's all going to go. I'm trying to check down through. Let's see. Anything else? Let's see here. Texting from Facebook. I have not. I'm on the fence about that. I want to keep my Facebook separate from my messages. I don't know. That's another new Facebook update. We already talked about YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Yeah, there was another one that had come up, and I wanted to check this morning, and I missed it, but I had wanted to check to see some of the newer things, or how Pinterest is actually staying relevant. And here's my what I understand is that their search function is actually becoming even better, because I think Pinterest is so able to be such a core platform that they don't have to worry about adding on live stream to stay relevant. They don't have to worry about adding longer video segments and all. They don't have to, because Pinterest is such a solid platform right now. And I think within the next, say, 10 to 12 months, I think it is going to change. So if you're going to use Pinterest, now is probably the time to do it, particularly advertising. So I see where a lot of these things are changing. A lot of the platforms are getting to the place where they're competing with each other, and Pinterest kind of standing back, kind of sipping its tea, going, I don't have to worry about this, guys, because they've developed such a loyal following. Because I bet that people that use Pinterest really use Pinterest, right? And you guys have seen all the funny cartoons with it, where they're talking about, yeah, my wife, she's on Pinterest, and for hours planning the meal, with like a salad and a mason jar. We ended up ordering pizza at night, because we're always on Pinterest so much. And guys, I'll be honest, I'm one of those people on Pinterest. I can get lost in Pinterest. So I have to budget my time to go on Pinterest, but I have a purpose. But I use it actually as one of the biggest search functions. And honestly, if I'm looking for just general info, I'm going to go to Google. If I'm looking for a video tutorial, I go to YouTube. But other than that, I actually use Pinterest as one of the main ways that I search for information. And I think that's going to be one of the keys and one of the really interesting parts kind of going forward. How are we finding the relevant information? Are we picky about what platform we use, or do we just kind of use Google for everything? And I think a lot of people are starting to go, no, I want to see certain things, and they go to a certain platform. So I'm really anxious to see what the next quarter, this coming, as we basically get through the summer, and to see what product or feature launches are going to happen in the fall. And I hope to be able to keep you guys up to date with that. So, but anyway, I'd really appreciate it. If you guys see news, or if there's something you guys want to talk about, shoot it over my way. You can always find me over on Twitter. You can reach me there at Jonathan Tripp. It's super easy. I really do try to kind of stay up to date with my Twitter, because it is pretty fast. There's a lot of people message and such like that. So I'd really be interested if you guys see something, message me over there. But other than that, I think that's my news. That's my news for today. Actually, this is probably one of the shortest broadcast sides that I've ever done. But I want to encourage you guys, please join our Facebook and join our Google groups. You're able to do that. I will put up links around. But I want to say thank you to everybody that did send me a couple of ideas for the news clips for today. Thank you guys for doing that. Thank you for all my Patreon supporters. I could not do this without you. And if you would like to be a Patreon supporter, you can go on over patreon.jonathantripp.com. We are launching out a few different perks, not perks. What do they call them? They call them benefits, right? It's a perk. It's a perk for being a supporter. And starting next week, we're actually going to be having a Patreon exclusive interview, and we're going to be rewards. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you. Rewards. There's the rewards for being a Patreon supporter. So next week we are going to be launching and having a Patreon only interview. I'm going to record it live, but it will only be available for those that are actually Patreon subscribers, and for even as little as $1 a month, which I hope it doesn't kill any of you guys. But if you feel like it, absolutely, I would love to have you guys support. So, but with that, tomorrow is the weekend. I don't broadcast on the weekends, but I will be back Monday. We broadcast this show Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. live Eastern time. I will see you guys there. All right, guys, take care.